You may have been taught that the distance between the North Pole and the South Pole is 7,900 miles. You may have also been taught that the equatorial diameter is 7,930 miles, while allegedly makes up for an alleged bulge. Using those calculations, most scientists have gathered that the circumference of the Earth should be around 25,000 miles. Although there are quite a few issues when it comes to those calculations, and I will outline all of them throughout this video. First, an oblate spheroid cannot have a circumference, because it is nowhere close to a circle. A circle is a circle, and a square is a square. But scientists and globe Earth believers have asserted that an oblate spheroid can have near the same radius of a sphere with error on the e-squared value, with emphasis on the error. Before all of this, we were able to plot how our surface varied by using polar radius for the letter C in the formula. The appearingly sloping variations in this diagram exemplify the Earth's natural elevations, such as a mountain, a hill, or a volcano, just to name a few. So I don't know if all of the topography was too hard of a task to illustrate, as I imagine it would be, which is why there is no quote-unquote flat Earth map, or were they just infatuated with the thought of the Earth being a sphere? Who knows? But they then decided to come up with a corresponding formula that goes against mathematical law to fix the obvious error of implying that an oblate spheroid could have a circumference. They did this by using of eccentricity as an independent variable, rather than the polar radius C value, which in turn completely enclosed the Earth's natural elevations and rounded out the edges. Allegedly, in mathematics, one can think of eccentricity as a measure of how much a conic section deviates from being circular. Although they didn't take the deviation, in better words, the Earth's elevations, into consideration at all. Instead, they came up with a corresponding formula, in which I just finished outlining for you all, in which, without a doubt, breaks the law of mathematics, as based on the primary formula for the surface of oblate spheroid that encompasses slopes. And again, the slope in the primary formula is nothing but the Earth's natural elevations, in which have been already outlined in this video. Secondly, the given circumference of the Earth as being 25,000 miles around in circumference is highly incorrect. 1. Because there is no such thing as a circumference of an oblate spheroid, and 2. Because the alleged measurements are incorrect. The given circumference of 25,000 miles is clearly indicating that the Earth is very near an absolute sphere. But we know that that isn't true. How? Because it has been said time and time again that our atmosphere is very thin. At least the part of it that the naked eyes are able to see anyway. So in the midst of analyzing the formula for the surface of an oblate spheroid, I noticed it required a frac when using eccentricity. The word frac also coincides with fracasar, which means to be unsuccessful, fracaso, which means an act that fails, and fracturarse, which means to break partially but keep its integrity. Do you think that telling you that continents are going around a ball, which is incorrect, is integrity? No, it isn't. It's simply someone lying to your face, detailing to you how they are lying to your face and hoping that you are dumb enough to save face, when it comes to supporting the fact that they lied to the entire world. They literally departed away from the established course and what was then and still should be the accepted standard. So when globe earthers say, people have known for forever that the Earth is a sphere, that too is a lie. And I have outlined the truth and showed to you all how the ancient flat Earth depictions absolutely coincide with mathematical law. Not to mention most of them even try to depict the topography that others have been too evil or too lazy to even try to incorporate into what is known as a globe, because it would cause for them to have to come out and finally tell the Earth's surface true orientation. The volume of the Earth is said to be the amount of space it occupies as an enclosed object. The definition for the volume of an oblate spheroid clearly calls such an enclosement a container. It also goes on to say especially when it's great. And interestingly enough, the great circle of a sphere is at its horizontal center, just like the Earth's surface. Now this leads me to the third and final part of this video that I have comprised for you, and it may be last, but certainly it is not least. Now, we already talked about how the diameter of the Earth is said to be nearly 8,000 miles. But Houston, we have a problem when it comes to the distance between the alleged North Pole and South Pole. Because the Karman Line begins 62 miles in altitude above Earth's mean sea level. It is an attempt to define a boundary between Earth's atmosphere and outer space, set by the Fédération Aéronautique Internationale, an international record-keeping body for aeronautics. In simpler context, it is said to be the point in the sky where the light meets the darkness. No one truly knows where the Earth's atmosphere really begins or ends in all naturality, but as I stated earlier, this can be hypothetically gauged by what one is able to see, and at 62 miles high in altitude above mean sea level, astronauts can then see that they have reached the darkness of space. If there is no more light past the 62 miles Karman line, then all globe Earth illustrations and CGI photos must stop at that point as well. You can't take a picture of something you can't see, unless you fake it, of course. So based on that scenario, every picture of the alleged globe Earth should be illustrating more so near to a paraboloid than a sphere, any day. Especially when you consider the given 8,000 mile diameter and the 62 mile high in altitude sunlight cutoff point. In this photo, said to be taken by astronauts on the ISS, clearly illustrates the alleged moon hanging in between, emphasis on the in-between, the Earth's atmosphere and the darkness of space, and not in it. This again puts further emphasis on one of my previous videos where I talked about the Earth's limb, the Columbia Space Shuttle, and the fact that Sun and the Moon are so much closer to us than they are said to be. More like they are within our atmosphere. So when it comes to the Earth being a sphere with curving waters and curving continents, when you take the real formula for the surface of an oblate spheroid with elevations into account, the 62 mile high in altitude sunlight cutoff point, and the meaning of eccentricity, globe Earth fail.